I think winter has become my favorite season here. That's when you get those dramatic views. Brings out all the colors and the gray pops, and it just, I feel like it's kind of like Mecca or the center of the universe. It's not a fluffy place to come. It's not a feel good, boost your ego. It's just like you get a beating. Yeah, if I could only climb one place for the rest of my life, it would be Yosemite.
Since 1966, we have viewed walls not as obstacles, but as opportunities. From the big walls of Yosemite to the high peaks of the Himalaya, we were searching for a personal kind of freedom. In this pursuit, we found a community, strengthened by different stories, experiences, and perspectives. This community has shown us that the only way forward is together.
Oh, here we go.
Battles no one hears about.
We drop into the middle of firefights to rescue others.
And act as one-man air traffic control towers. We're the ones who go before all others. Join the fight.
Welcome to the USA Climbing National Team Trials presented by YETI. We are in Memphis, Tennessee, where the best climbers in the country have gathered to compete for a national team spot after a year away from competitions. We're at the beautiful High Point Climbing and Fitness here in Music City. Following a close semifinal, these athletes are preparing to give it their all. We're back for the men's lead finals, and the athletes are currently out there for their route preview. I'm Megan Martin alongside Alex Johnson, and Alex, today's semifinal round for the men was absolutely grueling and had quite a few surprises.
Yeah, there were a lot of upsets. I'm not super shocked with the finals list, but there were definitely a few names I was expecting to see in there that we're not seeing.
Yeah, and some of the athletes that we are seeing in the final kind of slipped a lot earlier than we expected them to. Let's go ahead and take a look at that start list right now. So remember that the person going out first is the 8th place finisher. So we're gonna start off the competition with Timothy Kang, followed by Quino Francia, Ben Hanna, Colin Duffy, Ellis Ernsberger, Nathaniel Coleman, Ross Fulkerson, and Sean Bailey. Now, Alex, who is your pick to end up on the top of the podium tonight?
Well, I have soft spots for both Tim Kaine and Ross Fulkerson, but tonight my pick is going to be Sean Bailey. He's a cool, calm, collected, very confident route climber. He trusts his feet, I like his flow, and I think he's going to come out on top. Who's your favorite?
Like you said, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite in such a talented field, but honestly, you can never count out Colin Duffy. He is one of the Olympic qualified athletes that is competing today, and he did not have his best semifinal round. So knowing his mentality when it comes to competitions, he's always in it to win it. So I'm expecting that he will really turn it on in the final tonight and give us a good show and really fight for that #1 spot. So we're gonna go ahead and get things started in a couple minutes. You see the men are still doing the last couple minutes of their preview, and we'll get things going soon with Timothy Kang.
Stoked to watch the climbing.
Quick look there at Colin Duffy getting in the last few seconds of this preview. Actually, I'm not quite sure how much time they have left, but they're still moving around from every angle to check out what exactly they're gonna need to do on this route. And I was looking at the route earlier, and there's a lot of screw-ons on these bigger holds that they've put up there. So you kind of do need to move around a lot to make sure you see everything. And a lot of the screw-ons that they've attached are the same color, making it a little trickier for the athletes to see every hold from the ground.
Yeah, we've seen a few of them out there with binoculars, getting a better view.
Which is an approved accessory for previews.
No cheating.
See those binoculars there for Timothy Kang and Ben Hanna. Repping USA Climbing with that mask. Again, the athletes are masked up. If you did not tune into our broadcast earlier, we are following very strict COVID protocols here. All the athletes are competing in masks. We ourselves are in masks. Sorry if you hear a muffled sound every now and then.
What's interesting about climbing is the camaraderie. You know, they're previewing together, they're forerunning together. You see Nathaniel and Ross sort of sussing out beta. It's not this cutthroat competitiveness that's like one versus the other. It's the collective against, you know, the route setters. They're almost fighting against the route setters, if not just the route itself.
Exactly, and that is something that sets climbing apart from so many other sports. And it's been really nice to see how that has stayed strong within the community, no matter how big it's become, because climbing has really grown exponentially, even since when we started climbing, and then go back to way before we started climbing. It just is ever growing. So since those core values are sticking, I think that's a really good sign for the future of climbing.
Totally. It's great to see, especially with climbing becoming an Olympic sport. There was like always worry about it becoming a little more competitive between athletes, and I haven't seen that at all.
I'm right there with you. I think there is more camaraderie, and especially with, you know, the addition to the training center. Now that's a place where athletes can go train together, where they might have lived in different states before, but now they're all culminating in the same area and really getting to train with each other and push each other and bring the best out of each other. Timothy Kang will stay out here because he is the first climber competing. So the rest of the men will go back to isolation. So with the first glance at the route, you'll see that there are a lot of bigger volumes, like I was kind of talking about before. You see a few tick marks that the route setters actually decided to put on some of those holds, because there are those red screw-on holds that'll be harder for the men to see from down below. So I think they were kind of trying to help them out a little bit with that. But when I was talking to the route setters earlier, this is going to be a very challenging route, very different from what we saw earlier with the semifinal route. That was all like slab and vert, but now we're actually gonna have them pulling. You see a nice close-up on that tick marked hold. There's a dual tech screw on. It's gonna be quite powerful all the way through. And the route setters actually, again, came up with a name because they love to do that. It's kind of a new thing within the last couple years, giving the routes a name. And this one is called Tiny Dancer. And the reason for that is there is a piano match. Just the setters right there taking a seat underneath the route, hoping that they did everything they could to make it challenging enough for the men, but not too challenging to not see a top.
Where do you think the crux is, Megan?
So it's going to start to get tricky coming out of those blue volumes. You kind of are on from there, and that's about halfway up the route. And going up a little further is where that piano match I was talking about. After that really shiny dual text hold, there's a hold to the right that has a screw on it, and that's where that piano match will take place, which is why it's called Tiny Dancer, in honor of Elton John. But actually, the very end of this route is also going to be difficult. The very last move is basically a dynamic movement from those last two volumes to the last hold. That's actually not even that good.
Close up on those tiny little screw-ons on the volumes there. This is an awesome view. And then we get to see how bad, like, they're not in-cut crimps, you know? They're,
Nope.
they're slimpers,
They're
as Megan would say. And so they're going to have to clip off of those using only their hands and their feet.
And watching the route setters forerun earlier, it looked nails hard. They were shaking. They were grabbing draws to pull up so that because the clips were so difficult. So
Wow.
all these men will be on-sighting. So it'll be really interesting to see how they get through those clips, because some of them are really awkward, which is actually a trend we've been seeing in the last 5 years, where the clips are kind of part of the crux.
Right. I'm excited for this. I think this looks like a really awesome route. It's a little reminiscent for me of the World Championships in Hachiochi, where we watched Nathaniel and Drew and their Olympic qualifying run, and it looks cool. The setting has gotten really interesting over the years, like you said, so I'm excited for this.
And I believe this is the first time we're going to see Timothy King in a adult final. So that's really exciting. He just missed finals in 2018. He was one spot out, so it's really cool to see him here. And like we said, if you were listening to the earlier broadcast, he's been sport climbing a lot, so I'm not surprised at all to see him here. But it's nice when everything clicks, because competitions, you never know. You could be as prepared as possible, but things can just happen.
We saw a lot of that earlier today. Athletes as prepared as possible with super spontaneous slips.
And I'm sure the men are pretty psyched to see this on a more overhanging wall. As you can see, Tim is moving way faster than he was earlier on the other route, since it was so technical. Couldn't find that same rhythm. It was almost like just cautious climbing. So we're going to see a lot of the men quickly move, since they're going to be on their hands more, and which means they'll get pumped
And not their
faster.
Definitely a style they're all more comfortable with.
Definitely have to note his nail polish again, since
Yes.
in case you missed our earlier
Scientifically
podcast.
proven to improve crimp strength, painting your nails.
Nice knee bar rest that
No
he
hands
found.
rest.
Way more comfortable than the semifinal no hands. That was quite uncomfortable. He's got good time so far, so he can take a second to like milk that rest a bit.
And the strategy here is, how long do you stay in the knee bar to rest versus like how much do you wind the clock down, you know? Is it a restful knee bar, or is it kind of, do you have to finagle in and out of it, and that kind of makes you more tired? And
This does look like a more secure knee bar rest, but he does have to keep his hand on at all times, so he is still getting a little bit pumped here and there between shakes, but looks like he's ready to get moving.
even if they're not that pumped when they get to the knee bar, it's sort of just like revving yourself up emotionally for this section with these bad slimpers
Really bad slippers.
moving into the blue and red volumes.
He's about to get to where it's going to start turning up. He's currently at 17 points. If he matches this, he'll be at 18. One of our first trickier clips.
I'm excited for this move right here. I think this might be our Yeti move of the day.
Potentially really nicely done. So this is where that piano matches. Doesn't look like much of an issue for him.
Not for someone who paints their nails.
Nope. Scientifically proven.
Exactly.
Now after this, you don't really have a moment to breathe. This is where everything's going to start to get really difficult and a little more strenuous. Nice high foot. Gonna have to get another high heel after he makes this clip.
He looks like he's moving really comfortably and confidently.
Yeah, it's really great to see him out here. You can tell that all of the time he's been putting into lead climbing has really paid off because he looks very confident. Ooh. Getting out of that little wrap up in the rope.
At this point in the game, the ultimate goal is to make the U.S. national team, and that's what this whole event is. But when you come out for finals, there's not another round, and so it's almost like the pressure's off, and you get to just have fun and try hard and let it all rip, you know?
Choosing not to make that clip kind of showing that he is a little too pumped. Definitely a great choice to go for the points versus trying to clip since they're not worth points anymore as we switch to those IFSC rules. Really great climbing by Tim. Got his leg wrapped up in the rope, so he might have gotten a little bit of rope burn, but I think he's going to be okay. But really great.
That's the price you pay to make the team.
A little rope burn, not that big of a deal.
I got wild.
Take a look back at his awesome rest that he found. He looked super comfortable in that rest, and with how much time he had on the clock, he was able to just milk it for a while. This is where it really started to turn up, and he kind of had to just keep moving, choosing to not make that clip and just go for more holds, which was very smart in terms of strategy. Oh, yep, that's it. I was like, wait a second. he pulled up for the clip, but decided not to.
Does he get the plus here?
Super. Maybe. I don't know. I would give it to him. If I was a judge, I would, but we'll have to wait and see if they decide to give him
Do you
that
know
plus.
if it's sequential plus? Like, would he have had to throw with his left hand because that's the sequence in order to get the plus?
I don't think it is sequential, but he is walking away with 33 points, so it seems as though they did not give him the plus.
I feel like I think it's sequential. Like, you have to at least throw, like, it would make sense on the route. And not just like the sail cat jumping out the window, you know?
Totally. I know there's something about going towards the hold, but it didn't specify with the hand, like with the appropriate hand, but it looks like that's how they just judged it. So moving forward, that's how they have to judge it for the rest of the athletes. Quino Francia up next, 16 years old, new to the adult competition scene. We saw him at the combined invitational. This is team trials, the first ever team trials. And he has excelled in lead climbing on the youth side, and he did quite well at the combined invitational as well. So it'll be really cool to see if he can get a high point.
Our first of two vertical world team athletes in lead finals, Quinn and Sean Bailey. Although Sean has graduated.
He's an alumni of the vertical world team. Just like Tim, moving quickly through this beginning section. It's kind of a nicer entree into the route, whereas the semifinal route was really precarious at the beginning. So it's nice that they gave him a little break with the final route, let him like relax as they entered before they make it really difficult.
In the semifinals, it wouldn't have been surprising to see athletes time out because the start of the route was so slow, but this seems to be a much faster pace, and I don't think we have anything to worry about here.
Not so in the knee bar like Tim was. Looks like he just now decided to put it in, but he's still in a different position. It doesn't look like he found as good of a spot. Tim's knee bar was a little further back.
Deeper.
Quinn's gonna keep on moving. Which that's another part of it with knee bar specifically. If you don't find the right spot right away, there's no point in trying to hang out there and figure out
Exactly.
what to do because you're just wasting energy.
Yeah, if you don't fit, it's just a lot of biceps working yourself in.
Oh yeah, the Shindex is what they call
Exactly.
it. Another nice flat hold, sloping volume.
It's a cool pan of the whole wall.
Looks like he's got a nice toe hook set up there, but it's going to be a really aggressive release. He's really going to have to go into that shoulder. Nicely done. Activating that shoulder muscle to get the gas on.
Piano match like you were talking about earlier.
Struggled with it a little more than Tim did. He also had his foot higher, so I think that might have changed the body position a little bit. Oof, a little bobble on that heel hook. Great climbing from Kuno Francia. Looks like he will be below Tim Kang. But really nice to see him out here. That was really cool. He like overshot that.
Yeah,
I feel like
totally
that
you can see his finger marks.
that specific move, I think, kind of stressed him a little bit and probably kind of made him overgrip a little bit after that, and he got pumped a little faster than he probably meant to.
He thought he was falling and lost 7 layers of skin.
When your heart starts racing, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm falling. No, I'm not. I'm still there. 23 points for Kuno Francia. That'll put him currently in second place as we get ready for our next climber to come out, which will be Ben Hanna of Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm sure Kang is very excited. As you can see, he's like, hang loose.
Duncan!
And one. Very pleased with his climbing. It was very
I thought
impressive.
that when there was like one move after the piano match, he went to hit that sloper, and it's like pretty quiet in here because there's no fans, but we're significantly farther away from the wall, and I heard that hold slap. He dunked on it for sure.
He definitely did. Ben Hanna, originally Santa Fe, New Mexico, but currently living in Salt Lake City to train at the USA Climbing Training Center, or TC as the kids call it.
And the kids.
He was one of the athletes earlier who was really climbing the route a little more dynamically than everyone else. Everyone else was kind of moving really slow since it was slab, so I can only imagine he's going to be extremely psyched to be on these powerful dynamic moves. They're definitely his style and really in his skill set.
He's a fast and confident climber, and we can see this like out the gate.
Yeah.
He's swinging.
As long as he just doesn't go too fast, keeps it in check.
Tactic that some of them use, I know that Kyra and I have talked about this when we did Lead World Cups, is our endurance is significantly less than some lead athletes, and so for us our strategy was go as fast as you can, touch as many holds as you can, and you're racing your pump essentially.
As far as you can, as fast as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on that same program.
Athletes who climb like slow and smooth, that was not the method for me.
Really nicely through this lower section, getting ready to get into the more difficult section of the route. It's kind of nice, it gradually builds, which sometimes it's like on you, off, on, off, but
Yeah.
this is a nice gradual build, really to the end.
Hard move there, maybe even harder than our potential move of the day here. That toe hook to the slopey.
It's a lot of tension with that left
Yeah.
toe. Yeah, they're walking that move,
Yeah.
actually.
I
They
still
have
think
so
it
much
looks
shoulder
nice.
power.
Yeah.
It does look nice.
I just did a move like that outside.
You did. So this is about the last place where he can shake out before he has to kind of keep moving with, otherwise I think it's just too difficult to take one hand off the hold. You kind of have to have all points on moving forward. Lots of tension involved for these next 10 or so moves.
I said this earlier, and I'm going to say it again tonight when the women are climbing, but these are some of the best looking routes and boulder problems I've seen in a competition. Maybe it's because they've had a year to brainstorm, but
everyone's creativity is bursting. But I agree with you. These boulders and routes have been so impressive and so fun to watch. And they're doing a great job challenging these athletes. Kind of a surprising fall there for Ben. It looks like he just couldn't hold the tension with his heel. Tim's a little bit taller, and he kind of lerped to it a little bit better, and the heel stayed. So Ben had to kind of generate a little bit more, making there be a bigger swing, and it's a little bit harder to control. I also think he might have wanted his hands in a different orientation.
Potentially, yeah.
But he should end up with a 25 plus. Oh, they're giving him 23? Interesting. Oh, sorry. I read the route map wrong. No, I didn't.
No, it should be, yeah, it should be 26 plus.
Unless they gave me the wrong route map.
Do what I'm seeing.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to get back to it. Yeah, no, on the scoring that I have here, it's 26 plus.
And this route that we're seeing today, as opposed to semifinals, there were only 20-something points on the whole route, and so it was like a bit of a shorter route. Sort of, you had to compact the difficulty in a condensed movement a little bit. And here there are 39 total points, and so about 10 moves more today.
So that is a 26 plus for Ben Hanna. Just a little miscommunication, I think, with the judge.
There's some camaraderie for you. Maybe he got a back cramp or
They're
something.
bouldering, so they have to prepare
Right.
themselves. This isn't their last day of competition.
Not hardly. This is the first. So injuries or strains or anything like that, we have several PTs in the building, but if your friend is there and he can
help you out,
give you a massage.
Nothing better than that. Colin Duffy, 17 years old from Broomfield, Colorado, stepping up for his finals climb. I'm sure everyone recognizes him as he is one of the Olympic qualified athletes and the current Pan American champion, where the last final he was in for lead, he topped the route. So let's see if he can do that again.
Cool to see both of our Olympians in finals in both disciplines. Both the men made lead finals and both of the women made bouldering finals. And for me, what's cool about that is that this event doesn't matter to them. They've already qualified for the World Cups. They have a bye, and so this, from their perspective, is training and practice, and this is the last time that they're going to get to do the format where they can do all three disciplines before the Olympics this August. And so they're looking at this as training and practice, and so it's really cool that it seems to be like they're paying off. And they're not peaking at this event. They're on a completely different training block than some of the athletes who are here trying to qualify for the U.S. national team. Our Olympians are maybe just starting their training block. And interesting, it looks like he went a little bit too far past his
Trying to fix this mistake. Yeah, really good use of swinging that draw over, but woof, this is really precarious.
Hopefully he can find a way to get in that knee bar and get some of that energy back.
He handled that really well. Honestly, I think I feel panicked. I would be flash pumped already.
Totally.
Like you were saying, though, this is different for the Olympic qualified athletes. They are peaking later, but it is nice to see that they're in a nice spot already, just given how they competed this week. And this competition schedule will be more grueling than what they will see at the Olympics in the combined format. So this is the best training they could get.
Right. And it has to be a confidence booster for them, even making finals against athletes who are maybe only doing a single discipline this weekend, whatever day it is.
It's like 6 days of or 4 days of competition. lots of rounds.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. It's a little over a weekend. Definitely needs to recover after that mishap down low. Struggled less with that move than we've seen some of the other athletes, so that's a good sign. Now that release move into that Gaston.
He's a little bit
Interesting.
shorter than the few athletes we've seen before him, so he's going to have to generate a little more. Oh, easy peasy.
Nails it.
Never mind. Float.
I feel like that's a move he's specifically very good at. I feel like he lives in that position a lot
Yeah.
climbing, so he probably saw that and was like, okay, I'm good. It is kind of hard to see where those screw-ons are, even though there is a tick mark, which has kind of been a theme for the men's routes, because in one of the first qualifiers, which you all didn't get to see, but there was a hold that was like that as well, where all the athletes had to kind of look back to try to find it, and there was no tick mark. So
Very kind of the route setters to include those giant
just
ticks.
trying to make these athletes the best they can be. Really close to that bolt hanger with his left foot, but skated over it nicely, which that's been an issue in
That's
a
always
lot
scary.
of competition.
Yeah.
So all of the athletes are very aware of that these days. Nice view over the shoulder of what looks to me as Brad Weaver, one of the route setters. It's hard to tell from the back of his head, but I think that's him.
Admiring his handiwork.
The handiwork of the Tiny Dancer route.
Yeah.
Even though Colin had that mishap down low, he doesn't really look that taxed. And he made that clip, so he'll be able to keep moving, whereas Tim could only go so far without being called off because
Right.
he didn't. Oh,
Trying to get his heel on that left jib, but it looked like his heel was between the two red screw-ons. It puts him in first place still, I believe.
he's in the same position as Tim, because he's either going to get a 33 or a 33 plus. Losing his shoe from that heel hook, got to tighten them a little bit more. We've all had that happen before.
Yeah, for sure.
Really nice creativity and problem solving here, going ahead and grabbing that quick draw with his foot, which is legal to do. He's just moving it with his foot. You can kick it and it can swing as long as you don't. You can even push it with your hand. You just can't weight it. So really smart and a sign of a seasoned competitor.
Yeah, so right there he was looking for one of those red screw-ons, but his foot was just right between them and didn't get to connect, and then his heel slid off. He looks disappointed, but he shouldn't be.
Looks like they're going to give him the same score as Tim King, so he'll be at 33, which puts him in first place right now, but we still have 3 more really strong competitors to come, and you know that he wanted to do more and felt like he could do more, and having that malfunction with his shoe, that's never how you want it to happen. But again, this is training for him. It's not about making the team because he is already on it. So still good climbing from Colin Duffy, and we'll see him in the boulders later this week.
And what we're looking for here is the U.S. national team will be the top 3 athletes, not including our 2 qualified Olympians. So Nathaniel Coleman and Colin Duffy will be skipped over in the counting for U.S. team. So if they're in the top 3, then we'll go to 4th and 5th for the U.S. team. But it's the top 3 ranked athletes, not including Colin and Nathaniel, because they are already on the team.
Exactly. Ellis Ernsberger of Carrollton, Texas, stepping up for his attempt at the finals route. This is his first final, too, as an adult in a national competition. He's been really successful on the youth side, but really now getting into the adult competitions. Another one of our younger athletes where it's cool that they're coming out to these big competitions and really doing well.
We're seeing the field get younger and younger.
and we tapped out, so
Totally.
we're not helping it get older.
I saw that happening and was like, okay, next. I don't want to get beat by a teenager. Imagine how Lisa Rance felt way back when, man.
When we were 12.
Exactly. They didn't have the 16 and up rule when we were doing youth nationals. Or I mean, adult nationals. Yeah.
Adult competitions, PCA.
Yeah.
Ellis is moving really quickly through this bottom section. He hasn't even taken a full minute yet.
Cruising.
Really strong.
This is that finals confidence. Like, they have nowhere. I mean, you're trying to make the team, but there's not another round to qualify for, so you can really go. I keep wanting to say rhymes with alls to the walls.
I had a feeling that's what you're thinking. Ellis is using that toe hook actually on the hold, where a lot of the other men were just toe hooking on the volume, but I think his method actually looked a bit better, a little more secure. Though it does kind of create a bigger jump to that Gaston, but like we've seen, that move isn't really challenging them as much as I originally thought it would. It's a really good rhythm that he has going right now. His last...
Not even 2 minutes passed, and he's already almost
like,
to the high
is
point.
he speed climbing?
Yeah.
Which is another discipline that he excels at, as he got third at Youth World Championships in speed in 2018. So another fast climber. Really good save there, getting onto that volume.
Awesome stick. Way to fight there.
Getting a little pumped, but really nice climbing by Ellis Ernensberger in his first adult lead final. Very exciting. It's going to put him, I believe, somewhere below Ben Hanna, I think. Or no, actually above Ben Hanna. Right in between Ben and Tim. Really nice climbing, fighting for that hold on the volume. I mean, just fingers on the undercling and pulling in as hard as he can. I love to see when people are so pumped and they're just fighting for every hold, and he did it so well.
Yeah, that mentality is one more move, one more move.
And that's the kind of climbing, when you come down, you know you put everything out there. So even if you don't finish as well as you want in the standing, you know that you tried with all of your might to get as far as you could go.
For sure. You can't, like, no foot slip, no shoe
heel
coming
coming
off.
off.
Totally. It's not, yeah, he fought till the very end, and he has to be proud about that. We didn't see him rest as much as we've seen the athletes who came before him. He didn't try to get into that knee bar at all, and I wonder if he's one of those athletes who he has to go fast, and he's racing the pump.
We're still waiting on that score for Ellis. Oh, it's just come up, 31. I'm seeing a plus, but it looks like on what you all are seeing said 31. But either way, he's still in third.
I would concur
with Ben Hanna with a 26 plus. So
Nathaniel Coleman looking stoked.
The worst Ellis can do now is fifth. That's great for your very first adult. 31 plus for Ellis Ernensberger. Nathaniel Coleman, our other qualified Olympic athlete. An athlete I'm sure we'll see at those back-to-back World Cups in Salt Lake City. I know everyone's excited about those. It'll be 2 bouldering World Cups and also a speed World Cup. So it'll be really exciting. I mean, everybody loved having the Vail World Cup, so to have a World Cup back in the U.S. and
not
in
just
the
one,
home,
but two.
Yeah, not just one, but two, which is the first time we've seen that. And so there's our leaderboard. He needs to get a 33 or more. He can get a 33 since he's ranked higher in order to be in first, but there's still another couple competitors to climb after him, so anything above a 33 is ideal for him to end up in the top.
Another one of my, I know I've said this several times, another one of my favorites.
I mean, let's be honest, I feel like they're all our favorites. It's really difficult to choose.
It is, and they're all so sweet. Just his like mental capacity to stay focused, keep his mind in check, stay calm. He doesn't it's really cool to watch. It's impressive. it's something that I've always looked up to, the way that he's able to just like meditate himself into a mindset where it's 100% honed in focus.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a competitor who is more present than he is while he's climbing.
Maybe Adam Ondra.
Yeah,
but
I was thinking more on the U.S. side, but right into that knee bar. I'm curious to see if he rests. I feel like he doesn't generally rest that much on routes. Maybe like a couple shakes and a chalk.
Cruising right through. He's been focusing a lot on his lead in his training, and it's definitely looking like it's paying off. He's moving really smoothly and really confidently.
Yeah, he just looks all around more comfortable in general, which is nice to see. I feel like he's always, you could always watch him lead and you're like, oh yeah.
He's bolder. And now we're like, Nathaniel.
Are you a lead climber?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're in that combined format and you have to start doing all three, then just get better at everything. Nicely into that shoulder move. It really does, that actually does look like the most fun move.
Totally. Even if it's not the hardest, it's got the most flair. And they forced it, which is cool. You can't go around it. I was talking to my mom today and telling her the crux of how boulder I was doing was the second move, and she was like, well, can't you skip it? I was like, if I could skip it, it wouldn't be the crux. So when you have to force a move like that, yeah.
He's really looking good and strong. Like, he hasn't looked like he's tired at all. So it'll be interesting to see when he gets up into these blue volumes if he's able to keep this momentum going.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of his calmness, I know, comes from his breath. He focuses a lot on his breathing and his pace. And not just the pace of his climbing, but the pace of his heart rate and the pace of his breath. He's very intentional with his climbing. And
he hasn't clipped yet, which it seems to be better to clip a little earlier here, but it's not impossible to get back into that clip. Though he is getting farther and farther away from it, which is tricky, but just gonna go for the points. I'm not sure if, it's hard to tell because he looked so solid. I can't really tell if he purposely did that or if he kind of underestimated where he should clip from, but either way.
Yeah. It looked like he gave a little sigh of frustration when he fell, and I wonder if he knew that he should have clipped sooner, and he did have a little bit more left in the tank that he wasn't really able to showcase to us tonight.
He should still have that high point after this really impressive, smooth climbing. He got control right here of that 34 hold, and he should have the plus because, I mean, he even touched that hold. Not that usable surface is a thing anymore. It doesn't matter if you touch it. It's just the movement. But from the looks of it, he should be at 34 plus, which would put him into that first place spot. Really nice climbing, and nice to see that lead training paying off.
For sure, that was great.
He should feel really excited, this being March and knowing that the Olympics are in August, that he's seeing this much progression at this time.
Definitely. And there's even still time left to get even better, you know?
100%. I'm definitely interested to watch his speed too, because I know he's worked a lot on that as well. 34 plus for Nathaniel Coleman, moving him into that first place spot with just 2 more climbers to go. Oh, I'm sorry. They didn't give him the plus. That's so weird. It's always up to the judge's discretion, but that honestly doesn't make any sense to me. But again, up to the judge's discretion, and as long as they judge fairly throughout and the same, then it's all good. A little look over there at the kiss and cry with all the men, nicely socially distanced from one another in those awesome YETI chairs that are super comfortable. We were sitting in them earlier.
Spectating before running.
Yeah. We didn't bring our shoes, so we were just watching before running this time. Oh, looks like they
did give
changed
him
it back
plus.
to the 34. We were saying,
They should have Megan and I judge.
what is going on?
Good. Good. Great. Get all these things here in a second. Nope. Wait for them. Judging the contest.
Ross Fulkerson getting ready to get on this finals climb. Really nice climbing from him earlier today, as well as in the qualifier. He was one of the men who did top a route in the qualifying round. So he's been pretty on fire these last couple days, which is really nice to see. Not surprising, but it's always nice to see things working out the way someone's capable of climbing in a competition, because it's always roll of the dice sometimes in competitions.
Yeah. He's also had some super impressive outdoor sends lately, down in St. George in the Hurricane. And I wasn't sure he was coming, but it's super cool to see him.
Yeah, a lot of these athletes, I was unsure if they were going to come just because they have been spending so much time outside, but it is nice to see them back in action. And I do think, having not done a comp for a while, it kind of made everyone a little more excited to get back in the game. And with those World Cups coming up in Salt Lake, I think everyone wants to be a part of them, and this is the only way that you can, is if you come to this competition, unless you're already a Olympic qualified athlete.
Back to back Salt Lake World Cups. That'll be cool. I don't have to travel. Just drive downtown. A lot of neighborhood renovation happening in preparation for these World Cups as well, actually. They're completely redoing the street. It's going to be an outdoor venue, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome. Nice weather, won't be too hot.
And you know, there are no spectators in Tokyo for the Olympics, so if you want to see some world-class climbing, that is where you're going to need to go in order to get that experience.
Right. They used to happen in Vail. Used to be the World Cup in Vail, and now they've moved it to Salt Lake, and it's, you don't just get one chance, you get two. Don't ask to stay at my house.
You're talking to me or them?
No, you can stay at my house.
Okay, cool.
I don't want anybody calling me to stay at my house.
Really smooth through this lower section. About to get into the more cruxy part of the route. Going for that toe hook on the actual hold, just like we've seen a couple of the athletes do, but not all of them. Seems to be a more secure method. 3 fingers.
Sloth grip. I can't do that. I hurt both my ring fingers, and
I used to be able to do that, but my middle fingers hurt currently, so now I can't.
I think that grip is more on your tendons than it is on like your forearms, and so it is a way to rest and get less pumped. But
definitely, the minute you close your fingers like that, you get pumped like way faster. You can hear him breathing. It's gonna start moving a little quicker.
Super nice, like deep rhythmic breaths.
Paige Clausen told me that's the only way to sport climb, is to make sure you can hear your breath. If you can't hear yourself breathing, you're not doing it right. And I think
I feel
it's
awkward
true.
when I breathe like that. I get self-conscious.
But it really does make you feel less pumped and feel like you can climb for longer. So you can see his mask going in and out with that heavy breathing or deep breathing.
And all the climbers this week, however long we're here for, a very long time, are in masks the entire time throughout the competition. And so a lot of them have had to try to figure out which masks are best for climbing and competing in, because when you do take those deep breaths, sometimes they sort of cover your mouth and it's hard to breathe, and breathing is so important in lead climbing that a lot of them have tried several different masks. Hopefully landed on something that they felt confident with.
Really good save on the swing there, but kind of threw him off for that next move. Almost looked like he was going to get his leg wrapped up in the rope, but luckily that didn't end up happening. Really nice climbing from Ross Fulkerson. Definitely not as well as he wanted to do, but he did look really strong the whole way through. I think he just maybe needed to rest a little longer down low, because he did start to look pretty pumped in that upper section. Maybe a bit of over gripping as well. but still really nice climbing. And
it sets him up in a good spot to still qualify for the team because, like we said before, we're skipping Nathaniel and Colin when it comes to choosing the U.S. team. So it's the top 3, not including Nathaniel and Colin. And so as it stands now, it would be Tim, Ellis, and Ross. We have one athlete left, Sean, and we'll see where the cookie crumbles there. But Ross's position is not bad to keep going to World Cups.
exactly, he is in a really great spot. But we do have Sean Bailey coming up, and the last time he competed on a lead route, he also topped it at Pan American Championships. So it's definitely a possibility here today.
I also think this route is very much Sean's style.
100%.
And when we were sequencing and asked to give our favorite picks, that's sort of like his name popped into my head first. It's a very Sean Bailey-esque route.
I definitely agree with you. There's our standings currently with Nathaniel Coleman in first, Colin Duffy in second, and Timothy Kang in third. With one climber to go, Sean Bailey. Originally Seattle, Washington, sometimes Salt Lake City, sometimes Boulder, Colorado.
Bree calls him Justin Bieber.
She kind of moves around a lot.
Justin Bieber.
He's also been focusing on a lot of climbing outside, but mostly bouldering these
Not
days.
his music. He's another one who's climbed V15 and 515, along with
And like
Nathaniel
in the last year,
right?
They all kind of just did it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive, and it's cool too because they
But
all went
nah.
out together. No, but it is cool that they all went out together and they were projecting together, and
It's that camaraderie that we see, and they
Going
bring
for
it to the
first
comp
descent.
too. Yeah. Limits get pushed when we work together.
it's true. And Sean Bailey clipping that first draw on the final route. Getting into that rhythm. It's way less stressful watching this bottom half
Yeah, for
than
sure.
in the semifinal.
Less clenching.
I feel like they have to feel the same way. I'd be interested to hear how they're feeling. Needs to clip here to avoid that minor mistake that we saw Colin make earlier. Nicely done. It is cool how that can get forced on routes, and I feel like that's been happening for probably like a decade at this point, where you'll find draws or clips where if you miss it at that hold, there's no way of coming back
Right.
from it.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of have to just scramble and try to get as many points as you can afterwards. So really important to have the right strategy when it comes to clipping.
Such an unfortunate mistake too.
Nicely into that bicycle on the volume for Sean Bailey. Moving quickly into that next hold. We've seen some of the men pause there for a little longer. Easy.
That was cool. He
Shoulder
didn't
move.
do like come out of the bicycle or even pop off
Yeah.
the blue hold. He just campused it. That was the first time that we've seen that.
I feel like that's something he does a lot, which is always really cool to watch, especially because I feel like I can't float like that. So
Right.
I'm just really inspired when I see him do that. He's not really looking tired at all to me. I feel like he has been very efficient this entire time with his foot placements, and he's pretty good with his hip flexibility and heel hooking. Some men are not necessarily as into heel hooking. I feel like my fiance always makes fun of me when I throw my heel above my head. He's like, what are you doing? But Sean is definitely one who has pretty flexible hips. Just
still
nice
looks-
little shake. He doesn't look
Yeah,
tired at
casual.
all.
He still looks like he's chilling.
Just needs to do a couple more moves.
There are a few climbers that I absolutely love watching climb. Just flow and movement and style. But style's not really talked about in climbing that much. It's talked about a lot in skiing and snowboarding. Like someone's flow and style can make them a better skier or a more favorite athlete. And
just got the high point, bumped Timothy King down to 4th. Now let's see if he can get to that final hold. It's a difficult move, not going to be able to do it, but what a show from Sean Bailey. In amazing form, so fun to watch, and exactly how I would expect him to climb on this route.
totally.
Really, he's got to be pretty happy with that. You always want to top, but he definitely gave it his all.
Here we see this campus move when he stuck the shoulder. I just enjoy watching him climb, his flow and his style. Someone said in skiing once that bad skiers wear baggy pants because then you can't see their like bad style of skiing, and I don't feel that way about Sean at all. I think it adds to the flow of his movement.
I agree. It was really nice to see him go quickly off the last hold to the finish hold, because that's exactly what the setters wanted to happen.
Almost like a paddle dyno.
Exactly. So 38 plus for Sean Bailey, putting him in that first place position, earning him a spot on that national team with those 2 Olympians following behind him, which will move down to the 4th and 5th spot to round out the team.
Which are unofficially Tim Kaine and Ellis Ernstberger.
Yeah, barring any appeals, but
Right.
everything looked pretty straightforward for me.
Yeah, great separation on this route. We only see one tie really, and that wouldn't have happened if Colin had probably nailed that heel hook, and that would have been a perfect round, you know?
Yeah, man, the setters are killing it this weekend. This is some of the best separation I've seen in a long time. Maybe it was just not being at comps for a year. Everyone's like, we're just so excited to be back.
They really had a year to figure it out. So it better be good.
They've been home dreaming about this for an entire year.
Yeah, totally.
All the men in the kiss and cry taking a few moments to talk about what they did. Nathaniel right there miming exactly what he did at that top volume. It's so funny. This is what always happens. You can't wait to talk about how you felt, what you were doing.
Right.
What did you do? How did it work for you? It's so cool how much communication there is after the round.
And I can like totally imagine what Sean is saying right now. Like, he strives for perfection, and he wishes he would have finished the route. Like, obviously he's stoked that he won and he's happy with his performance, but he wanted to finish the route.
100%. And I mean, he was really close. He did everything he could. Honestly, he could have just moved a little bit faster, but those are your men's lead finals results, with Sean Bailey in 1st, Nathaniel Coleman 2nd, Colin Duffy 3rd, Timothy King 4th, Ellis Ernstberger 5th, Ross Fulkerson 6th, Ben Hanna 7th, and rounding it out in 8th is Quino Francia.
So if you're looking at the scores, you can see that Colin Duffy and Tim King have tied with a score of 33, and the reason that Colin is ranked ahead of him is it goes to countbacks, and Colin qualified higher going into finals than Tim, and so that's how that tie is broken.
And luckily we did not have a tie in countbacks, because then it goes to time, which is a whole nother thing, but we'll maybe explain that on another day because it didn't happen, so it's not necessary.
Yellow and pink now. It looks fucking awesome. No, that's not the start. They're gonna punch it in for sure. Unless it is, then I'm just stupid. I don't know anything about climbing.
Okay.
Just a heinous first move.
Oh yeah. Not that kind of heinous first move.
Dude, I'm short. This will make me look taller, dude. Sick.
I'll fuck up my shoulders.
There's like
Give you your fucking spot.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Does it look like I'm looking at the camera right now? Whatever.
Sean, that was amazing climbing that you had today. How do you feel about that finals route?
Yeah, I'm psyched. It was an awesome route. And I'm honestly just trying to catch my breath right now. But yeah, it was a sick route. Kind of opened up a lot. There's some flowy climbing and then a few really risky moves. So yeah, it was fun to climb on.
How did you feel about the last couple moves? They were a little more dynamic and kind of not something we see a lot at the end of a route.
For sure. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was super risky again. It was kind of some bouldering style movement, and when you're really bricked, pumped, it's hard to do that stuff. So it was fun to get the challenge.
And the last competition you competed in was the Pan American Championships, and you just missed out on an Olympic spot, and that was a lot of pressure and just a grueling time period. How does it feel to come back to a competition and walk away with a win?
Yeah, I mean, I got close a couple times in Toulouse and then at Pan Americans again, so, you know, it happens, it's competition, but I was glad to get a little break, and now I'm psyched to be back at it, so that's good.
How important is it to you to be on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to compete World Cup for a bunch of years now, and like 4 years, maybe this is my 5th year even, I'm not sure, but you know, it's something I've been doing for a long time, and it overtakes my whole summer and, you know, most of my years, so yeah, it's special to me for sure.
And we're going to be able to see you in the bouldering, but we're excited that you are on the team for lead, and wish you the best of luck in bouldering. Great job.
Cool, thank you.
Nice work.
So we are going to see results here on the podium. We'll get to see our podium in a few minutes, and super fun hearing what Sean had to say about the route, trying to do those dynamic kind of finish moves when he was bricked, pumped. And that's something that I think we can all totally relate to, and I'm super stoked to see him on the World Cup team for this summer for lead routes. I really enjoy watching him climb, and obviously he's a favorite of mine for several reasons, and I'm really excited to see how he does in World Cups. I know he's made several finals, and I want to see him on a World Cup podium, so I'm really rooting for him. Sean's been on a bouldering World Cup podium before, but as far as I know, I don't know that he's been on a lead World Cup podium. Someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. Stand by for awards if you guys want to see some of that. Clap from home. We'd like to hear it because there is no crowd here today in Memphis. Shout out to our event sponsors. This is the 2021 USA Climbing National Team Trials presented by YETI and the North Face, Cliff, Petzl, Gnarly, here at High Point Climbing and Fitness. It's really awesome for them to host us. They shut the gym down for 5 days so they could host this event, and considering how gyms have been doing in the midst of the pandemic, super gracious for them.
At this time, we will be presenting the awards brought to you by YETI. Presenting our awards today are Bruce Mitchell, President of USA Climbing, Mark Norman, CEO of USA Climbing, Keith Gressel, General Manager of High Point Climbing and Fitness, and Jesse Markowitz, Mountain Marketing Manager for YETI. Winning the bronze medal and already representing the USA as an Olympic qualified athlete is Colin Duffy. Winning the silver medal and also already representing the USA as an Olympic qualified athlete is Nathaniel Coleman. Winning the gold medal and the 2021 national team trials and representing the USA and gaining a position on Team USA is Sean Bailey. And now announcing our two other athletes who will be representing the USA on the national team. Timothy Kang. And Ellis Ernsberger. Congratulations, guys, and we're really excited to see what you do on the national team. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and please tune in to the women's finals at 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Sorry, everybody. Women's bouldering finals, and congrats again to these men, and putting on a great lead show for us.
I like large, but I don't know.
I think winter has become my favorite season here. That's when you get those dramatic views, brings out all the colors and the gray pops, and I feel like it's kind of like Mecca or the center of the universe. It's not a fluffy place to come. It's not a feel-good, boost your ego. It's just like you get a beating. Yeah, if I could only climb one place for the rest of my life, it would be Yosemite.
Since 1966, we have viewed walls not as obstacles, but as opportunities. From the big walls of Yosemite to the high peaks of the Himalaya, we were searching for a personal kind of freedom. In this pursuit, we found a community, strengthened by different stories, experiences, and perspectives. This community has shown us that the only way forward is together.
Oh, here we go again.
The battles no one hears about.
We drop into the middle of firefights to rescue others.
And act as one-man air traffic control towers.
We're the ones who go before all others. Join the fight.